Hello out there. It's Thursday and we're on the air. Good morning, everybody. Holy cow. Looks like the chat's buzzing right now. Good to see. The live show is buzzing. I didn't even post it on Nostr. Son of a gun. Okay, let's do it real quickly while we say good mornings. You know what I'm going to say anyways. Good morning. It is Thursday. It is our favorite day of the week. It is Q&A day on the daily Bitcoin journey, which is actionable and logical discussion for Bitcoiners and for future Bitcoiners. Glad to have you here. We're on YouTube. We're on zap.stream. Let's see what's going on over there. We're fresh. Is over there. We got a bunch of people on the YouTube. Hopefully, maybe today for the Q&A. This will be the day that you try out zap.stream. Simple to do. Type into your browser zap.stream. Set up a profile. Connect your Lightning address, your LB account, and start moving on there. You can also connect your nostr if you have that. Okay, let me just, I keep wanting to say tweet, but it's not a tweet. Okay. We'll see if anybody from Nostr shows up today. I know there's a bunch of Nostr users in the house this morning, as usual, which is what we want. Okay, well, it's Q&A day. So let's start with that. Let's start with Q&A day. It is my favorite day of the week. These shows are always the best ones of the week because we got some questions from YouTube, some comments, some from email, some in the live chat. Kind of as the show goes along, assuming I can keep up with what's going on in the chat, I try to answer questions live as well. So I might be in the middle of a tangent, but if I see a comment that I see, then I'll stop and look at that. But we got a good one today because last week I did a video on selling my rental house for Bitcoin. And so that generated a ton of comments, questions, feedback on YouTube. So I got a bunch of them to kind of address this morning and show you, even though Bitcoin doesn't generate cash flow, how people are going to use it in the future based on what's happened in the past. So I've thought about this before in my head, but I've never put it onto a spreadsheet before. And I think that you're going to be as surprised as I was to see how it all kind of works out. So, but before we do that, we got Crypto Heathen over there in the zap.stream. Let's get zap.stream buzzing today. Let's do that. That's our goal for today. We got Costello over there and Letha. So here's what we're going to do. I also set a new goal for zap.stream today, and I'm going to show you why. Yesterday for the show, I changed my YouTube thumbnail to be the first day of spring. I should have known. I shouldn't have been that stupid. First day of spring, all the snow was gone here. So I changed my profile picture or my YouTube thumbnail for the show to be the summer version, the spring version. And then we got snow. And not a small amount of snow either. So the goal over on zap.stream today is a heated driveway. That would be the perfect thing, I think, in Canada here in the prairies, a heated driveway. So that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to get enough zaps until the snow goes away for a heated driveway. And we're going to use the Bitcoin maybe one day to buy a heated driveway. We'll see. Not ideal at all. Anyways, let's check on the chat here quickly. Noah is over in zap.stream. Ballsy Golf is over in zap.stream, and Rick Costa as well. Good morning, everybody over there. Thanks for being on the cutting edge of video streaming over on zap.stream. BTC Backpacker, my man. I'm stacking another $100 today. Let's go. Crypto Heathen. T-minus 1 day and some change until the halving. Ryan Brown is in the house. Good morning, my friend. Johnny, what a time to be alive. No doubt. No doubt. Rock and roll. Good morning, wonderful Bitcoiners. No one can stop us. Oh, Daniel's in Florida. Jose, aka Zombie, aka, I don't know if I want to give away his real name, but I did remember it this morning. He's the newest member of Living in the Future, and we had a nice little email exchange last night. Jason, good morning, my friend. Oh, what's this? Oh, my zap.stream balance is below 500 sats. Uh-oh. Cutting into my heated driveway fund here. Let's see if I can boost this live on the show. Top up. Zap. There we go. I'm paid up. My dues of zap.stream are paid up. There we go. Daniel says, living the future today was fire. It was. I said this on the show yesterday, and I begged people. I said, if you've been somebody who has been thinking about joining Living in the Future, but haven't got around to it yet, yesterday's show, I think you really want to check out, because we were talking about building businesses in Bitcoin, earning sats, what you can do every single day in your life, day by day, which turns into weeks, months, and eventually just creates good habits that'll propel you forward into this new economy, new Bitcoin world. So check that out. Check that out. I think we have 40 members, maybe just under 40. At 44 members, we're capping that tier off. It's going to be officially closed off. We're going to call it the Visionaries. We're going to keep the group chat, and we're going to start a new tier after that. But you want to get into this one because there's the group chat, which is amazing. For if you're somebody who's new into Bitcoin, or even a Bitcoiner just loves talking about Bitcoin, there's so many good resources in there, so many good people in there who can help you with whatever you need. It is the best value you'll ever get in your life. I guarantee it. So you can join that 7 days for free. You can watch yesterday's video. If it's not something you're into, just cancel it. But you can use there's a link in the description that says Living in the Future. Click that and then sign up. Highly recommend. And for the 44 visionaries, or founders, we'll call them, we're actually putting a portion of all the membership fees into Bitcoin, and we're going to keep that as like a community fund. I wasn't going to talk about it because I didn't want that to be the reason that people joined, but we're close. I want to fill those spots up this week, and I know that there's some people watching out there who are interested. So light a fire under your ass today. Get over there. Daniel's going to be in the flight for the halving tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to do a show tomorrow night. I don't know if I'm going to do it tomorrow morning and tomorrow night, or just tomorrow night. We'll see. King, good morning, my friend. Okay, I got to start the show here. Sorry, everybody. We got too much going on. So let's get into things here. I'll try to keep up with the comments as best I can. I want to see if there's any comments, though. Morning, Bodie. Morning, Rick. Smash the like yet? Good question. Did we smash the like yet? I don't know. I don't think there's any likes on zap.stream. It's just zaps. Dan, good morning, my friend. Daniel says, can you go over your broadcast setup, Jor? Yeah, very simple. I have a new mic, which I just purchased about a month ago now. It's called Shure, S-H-U-R-E. I got it on Amazon for about $300. And based on the old mic that I had, which was a Yeti, it's way better. Way better. And I think the Yeti was about $150. This mic, it came with a little tripod here, so it's off my screen. It's about $300 for the mic and the tripod. So it's pretty much all I need for my show. It's very low quality production. I mean, the camera's good, the audio's good, but I do everything myself. I edit it. I guess I don't edit it. I, put it on zap.stream. I put it on Spotify, Fountain, and the clips has been a big one for me, honestly. That's what takes up the majority of my time, is I go through kind of the transcript after the show. I look for some key points, and then I just post a clip after. So if somebody doesn't want to watch the full hour, they can just, there's usually some clips in each show that that would be beneficial for people. So they've been getting a lot of traction with that, I think, bringing a lot of new people to the channel, which is good, which is what we want. And then my camera is a Razor. I don't know what the model is or anything, but it's pretty good, I think. Razor. I'm pretty sure I bought both the Razor at Best Buy, this on Amazon, and I use StreamYard for my streaming platform. So it's pretty cool because you set it up in StreamYard and then it broadcasts to this channel. It broadcasts to zap.stream, and you can do another one as well. I do it to my backup account, Bitcoin Journey. So that's kind of set up. It's nothing crazy, but I think it gets the job done. Yeah, I didn't want to spend a bunch of money until I knew this was something that I wanted to be doing more often. And so I just kind of held off for a very long time. We also do our golf show every Wednesday night. So that was part of it too. But I just think that there's a lot of people out there who wait until the time's right with everything, or wait until they have the perfect webcam, the perfect microphone. And I think that you actually have to put in some work before that. Make sure you're good at it. Make sure I shouldn't say good at it, but something you enjoy doing. And there's people who are getting value from it. And it becomes an investment then. So that's what I would say on that. James Bond says, try to make Zap. Didn't work. On what? On Nostr or on zap.stream? King says, I also live in Canada. Send help. It's freezing. Oh, so depressing. So depressing. Anyways, Johnny says, heated driveway. You can do that. Yes. Hopefully one day we'll have one here if Bitcoin does what we think it's going to do. Okay. Let's get to things here. Let's start with some metrics. We'll start with some metrics. And if you do have any questions throughout the show, this is a live Q&A. So throw it in the chat, either on YouTube or zap.stream, and we'll discuss it. That's how the show goes. So here we go. Oh, this isn't what I want. Mempool. We are currently sitting at block height 839779. Bitcoin's fourth halving is in 221 blocks. Crazy. Tomorrow night, we're hitting the next epoch. If you're transacting on the Bitcoin layer 1 this morning, you're paying about 37, 40, 50 sats per VByte. So pretty much average. If you have to send Bitcoin, you're probably okay doing it. If you don't have to send Bitcoin, I'd probably wait for fees to go down a bit. The price today of Bitcoin, $62,597. And we didn't do metrics on the show yesterday because I did a little bit of a different show. So one thing I noticed is that between April 14th, which was Tuesday, when the price was 63,000, and this is the wrong date. And today, April 18th, 62.5. So Bitcoin dropped $400 in the last 2 days. $400. And if you looked at the mainstream media, if you looked at the Twitter accounts, if you look at everybody who doesn't like Bitcoin, they had a heyday because Bitcoin dropped down to 59,000 yesterday. But I mean, in less than 48 hours, we're pretty much back to exactly where we were. And we're up 150% from last year this time. No, 2x from last time. Last year at this time, the price was $30,000. So it's hilarious to hear these dummies, Peter Schiff's, the mainstream media, Twitter accounts, all declare Bitcoin is dead. And then you just wait another day and it usually catches up. And then you wait a year and it's double from what it was. So always zoom out. Don't pay attention to these talking heads. 4 years ago today, imagine this. You could have purchased one Bitcoin for $7,267. The Moscow time today is 1616. So with $1 US, that'll get you 1,600 sats. Absolutely the deal of a lifetime. Here in Canada today, the price is 84,988 Canadian dollars. Moose Jaw time, which is the equivalent of Moscow time here in Canada. 1 Canadian dollar will get you 1,172 sats. And this was 229 till the halving when I updated it. Now it's 221. There you have it. There you have it. So we got a couple shout outs today. This is something I just started doing on the show this week, which is called the daily block reward. So similar to how there's block rewards every 10 minutes, every day we're going to do our own block reward on the show. And of course, I lost it here. Oh, there we go. So I got two. I got two this morning. So the one thing we're going to put a priority on is Fountain. And I talked about, being a one-man show here, one-man production. Every day I upload these podcasts or shows onto the Fountain app. So make sure, if you're a Bitcoiner, if you have a cell phone, get the Fountain app. Set up a profile, connect it to your Lightning account, and you can actually earn free Bitcoin every single day just for listening to podcasts. So get on there. Even if you watch the show in the morning, the live version, toss it on later while you're working. You don't even have to listen to it. Just turn the volume down, but make sure you're earning those free sats because this stuff's not going to be around forever. Not even close. It's even in the last couple months, it went from, 60, 100, 200 sats per day on there. Now it's down to, I usually get 10 or 20 sats, but that's not the point. It's free Bitcoin for literally pressing a button. People will be cleaning up dog poop in 10 years for 20 sats for the whole day. So what you can do today, the one thing you have is time on your side. So turn on a podcast, press a button, and earn some free Bitcoin. That's the point here. So anyways, on Fountain, the other part of that is you can actually earn Bitcoin, but you can send Bitcoin to your favorite podcasters, your creators. And so somebody yesterday, Fort Nakamoto, maybe they're in the chat this morning. I don't know who that is, but they boosted 1,000 sats from Jetson Media's unofficial advisor. I think I have an idea of who it is, but I don't know. I think they're over in the Zap.stream chat. That's what I'll predict. So thank you to Fort Nakamoto on Fountain. So with every show, if you listen to a podcast, let's say you earned, or you can also fund your Lightning wallet as well, very easily. Maybe I'll do that on the show sometime, is show people how to fund your wallet and how to withdraw sats from your wallet. But anyways, with that, you can actually send a boost to a certain show. So they sent a boost for 1,000 sats. And with that, you can leave a little comment or a message. And that's what I'm going to be prioritizing on the show every day for the daily block reward. So if you want to just say something nice, if you want to say something mean, doesn't matter. I'll read it on the show. Or if you want to promote your business, whatever you're working on, whatever you do, you want to start earning some sats every day, say, I design websites. I want to work for Bitcoiners. I'll read it on the show, say how people can get a hold of you. And that might be a good way to boost, jumpstart or boost your business. Cheapest way to do it. I mean, if you wanted to pay somebody online to advertise on their show, you're probably looking at a couple $100. With this, you can send 1,000 sats. It's like 2 cents or 10 cents. And you can get your word out there to a bunch of Bitcoiners. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And Noah over on Zap.stream says, reading articles on Bitcoin Magazine also gets you free sats. I didn't know that. I'm going to zap for that comment there. I didn't know that. Learned something new today. So Noah just earned some sats over on Zap.stream. Look at this. There's Dan over on Zap.stream. He says, first attempt trying Zap.stream. There you go. You got to connect your Lightning wallet, Dan, because I can't zap you. But somebody can help you out with that. So Noah over in Zap.stream says, Matthew Cratter from Bitcoin University says that Bitcoin Magazine is no bueno because of David Bailey. I think he's right. I wanted to talk about this briefly as well today, because I saw something. They've been going back and forth. This Matthew Cratter from Bitcoin University and David Bailey from Bitcoin Magazine. They've had some beef the last little while, which is fun. There's always beef in like the rap game. Apparently Drake's been getting into some beefs with people, but it's fun when Bitcoiners are in beef. Last week it was Odell and Saylor. This week it's Matthew Cratter and David Bailey. I hope I get into a beef sometime. But anyways, so with that, Matthew Cratter called out Bitcoin University in one of his videos, and then David Bailey fired back, which I thought was pretty, I don't know. You can kind of take what you want from this. I'm going to share it here because this isn't about me picking sides. I think both of these people, David Bailey and Matthew Cratter, are contributing to Bitcoin in a positive way. So I'm not picking a side here. I just want to share both sides of the story because I think that's important. So this is what David Bailey from Bitcoin Magazine said back to Matthew Cratter. After Matt Cratter made 3 videos calling me a scammer because I invest into Bitcoin startups he doesn't like, and the magazine publishes Bitcoin op-eds, whatever the hell that is, of all perspectives, I've decided to stop being a degen and to do Bitcoin the right way, in quotes. So I've enrolled in his $1,200 day trading course where I'll learn to chase momentum stocks and make big money the honest way. So he shows some pictures here. This is from Matthew Cratter's Bitcoin University, Trader University. And it shows all the different courses on there. Learn to trade futures like a pro, momentum stock secrets, learn to day trade like a pro, and make money with IPOs. So, I mean, the moral of the story there is probably, if you live in a glass house, don't throw stones. So it seems like both these guys might have some sort of, some sketchy stuff behind the scenes. I wouldn't say either of them is really sketchy. I would probably side with Matthew Cratter here a little bit just because I get some value from his videos and stuff sometimes when I watch them. And Bitcoin Magazine has been trending in an altcoin path, but you have to know both sides of the story here. Matt Cratter he charges a lot of money for his education courses, even for Bitcoin. And, I get that because it takes a lot of time to learn, it takes a lot of time to do the videos and to, post them get them organized online. But at the same time, this day trading stuff, momentum stocks, kind of a bad look. Anyways, Ryan Brown says, what extent should we fund developers? That's a good question. That's a good question. And I think it's the same with anything in life. You always want to give stuff because the developers in Bitcoin, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on the subject. I'm definitely not. But the developers in Bitcoin are a big part of the ecosystem here. And, some people say that they work for free. I think that the OpenSats program that Odell does, I think that's a really good way to do it because it gives all the money to developers and they kind of get to decide who it goes to. They have a big board of directors, so there's no funny business there. They don't take any Bitcoin for themselves, which is very rare in any sort of nonprofit. If you look at any sort of profit or nonprofit in the world, let's say you donate $100 to Red Cross. Probably, I don't know, $20, $30 of that, 20 to 30% actually goes to helping whatever you're trying to fund there or donate to. The rest just goes into people hired by Red Cross to run the fucking admin stuff on it. So with OpenSats, all the sats flow to the developers. They have some operations, but that's a different fund. So I think that, it's the same thing in anything. You should give what you can. And even if you can't, you should still be giving, I think, because it always comes back to you. And if you're doing the right thing, I'm a big believer in karma. So not only karma, but helping developers, the better we can maintain Bitcoin, the better off we're all going to be. We're all invested into it. And so I think that, as this show gets a little bit bigger over time here, I'll probably put a portion of my zaps or boosts to the open sats. I think it's going to be very easy to do. I'm just not kind of at that level yet. So maybe I will, though. Maybe that's a good idea for me to start doing. I'll write that down. I'll figure out what the boost split on fountain is, and I'll put some towards the open sats. And so with that, I guess, I don't know. It's kind of everybody's discretion, right? Whatever you want to give to them. One way to do that is if you're getting value from, let's say you watch Citadel Dispatch or Rabbit Hole Recap, you could go on to Fountain, you could fund your wallet, zap their show or boost their show, and you know that a portion of that is just going to flow into open sats. So that's one way to do it too. You're paying for somebody who's giving you value, plus you're donating to a worthy cause, in my opinion. So James Bond says, Jor, is it possible to have podcast live on one of our platforms? Not sure what you mean. Like the Living the Future platform? Or because for our private shows, I link it to the YouTube account, and then I just give everybody the link who has Living in the Future. And so it is kind of our own feed there. But I mean, depending on how far we go with the show and the Bitcoin journey and everything, I will probably get my own server where I don't have to go through the YouTubes anymore. But we're a ways from that. Zombie says, okay, that's not a good look for Crater, but David Bailey is 100% a shitcoiner. Yeah. I mean, not a great look for sure for Crater. But if you're going to start trashing other people, you better not have any skeletons in your own closet. Dan says, how do I add a wallet to Zap.stream? I have a Get Alby. Yep. So that's what I use for my Zap.stream. Get Alby. Okay. Let's keep going here. Morning, Lucas. Lucas says, use your golf compared to mining clip with a few buddies. I could see the gears start turning in their head. I do think that one's going to age well. It's just, I don't know what it is. You know, here's the thing about YouTube right now. And here's the thing about everything going on. With the, what the hell? With the, sorry, something weird happened on my phone there. Okay, what was I talking about here? With that mining clip, or with YouTube. I was watching a video yesterday, and there was a guy on there. He had about a 10-minute video. I forget the name of the channel now, but it doesn't matter. He had a 10-minute video. His title of the show was Crypto Halving coming up, or Crypto Halving is going to be gone before you can blink. Something like that. And I commented. I watched the video. It was about a 10-minute video. He had some really good points. He was talking about the halving. He was talking about no KYC Bitcoin. He was talking about cold cards. And so I was like, this is great information, but you should be differentiating the fact that this isn't a crypto halving. This is a Bitcoin halving. Bitcoin and crypto are much different, and people need to understand that. And he replied to my comment and said, YouTube algorithm doesn't pick up any Bitcoin stuff, so I have to use crypto. Isn't that disgusting? And so where I was going with that is like my videos don't get a whole lot of traction on them because all the titles have Bitcoin in them pretty much, which I don't know. It's kind of shitty in one way, but at the same time, I think we got the right people here, which is what we want. So I'm never going to change my titles to be crypto just so I can get more views on the channel. I think that over time, if you do things the right way, everything works out. But that's kind of the shitty thing there. So with that mining clip where I was talking about golf and Bitcoin mining, I just think that makes so much sense. And the videos like that don't get much traction because you're talking about Bitcoin. So maybe I'll put a link to that if people don't know what I'm talking about there. I used an analogy comparing golf. Everybody understands golf, hole-in-ones. I used an analogy comparing golf to Bitcoin mining and how the block rewards are done and how the equation is, you know, how the more hash power you put into something, the higher your chances are. And it's the same with golf. So anyways, I'll put that in the link. And if you want to check that out after the show, you can just look in the description. It's a good video. I don't mean to pump my own tires there, but it's a good analogy, I think, that a lot of people understand. Okay, Tommy D is in the house. King says, in Matt Crowder's defense, he spent his entire life in the financial industry as a means to support him and his family. To ask him to not capitalize on that information is asking a lot. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I get that. I do. And that's one thing, I've always said on the show is like, people get so wrapped up in looking at people in Bitcoin and then looking at their past and trying to put some pieces together there and say that, because you did this back in 2017, you're not a Bitcoiner. You're a Fed or a spook, whatever they call them. But my thoughts on that is like, Bitcoin's only 15 years old. It's not like I went through public school and I was learned how to speak, where I learned about Bitcoin. This is something that's brand new. So there are people like Matt Crowder. There are people like me who switched from the accounting industry into the Bitcoin world. So it wasn't always there. And it's something that takes a lot of time for people to not only understand, but even open their mind to try to understand. So I don't usually hold any grudges against people who did stuff like that in their past. To me, it's just, I don't know, if you have a Bitcoin university, you should probably just focus on Bitcoin. Because if you're a Bitcoiner, you're not promoting the stock market, in my opinion. ETF, MicroStrategy, maybe, but they're Bitcoin companies or funds. So that's my thoughts on it. I'm not going to trash talk either of them. That's just my thoughts on it. Noah says, I donated to OpenSats. It was only about $19, but it made sense. Hope to contribute more in the future, even though I understand Saylor's argument. I also want base layer ossification forever, which means never change things. Makes sense. Crypto Ethan says, Crowder does put out some good Bitcoin info, but he's always seemed a bit slimy to me. Fair. Look at this. Over on zap.stream, we got Dan. He sent 420 sats, his first zap ever. I'm going to take a picture of that. No, I'm not. You know why? This is something I see every day in my life. If there's one thing that pisses me off more than anything else, it's not having any storage on my phone. Ooh. Okay, let's keep it rolling here. Zombie says, imagine if golf courses did difficulty adjustments after a bunch of players make the birdies. So that was actually, that might have been Jose who said that over on Nostr, maybe not. But anyways, going back to that, it's the mining and golf analogy there. So I posted it on Nostr. I posted the video. People were watching it and commenting on it. And somebody said the one thing that you could add to that analogy is that if there's too many hole-in-ones happening, everybody moves back a foot. So very similar to how the Bitcoin mining process works, which is if blocks are coming in too fast, if the miners are solving the equations too fast, the difficulty adjustment, I think it's every 2 weeks approximately. It's a certain amount of blocks, but it gets adjusted. So it makes it harder for people to solve the equation. And when it's harder for people to solve the equation, the blocks start coming in slower. That's how the 10 minutes on average stays the same. So with the golf analogy, I was tying it to hole-in-ones and everybody's shooting from the same spot, trying to get a hole-in-one. And so somebody on Nostr said that if you added the difficulty adjustment there, where everybody moves back a foot, if there's too many hole-in-ones happening, I thought that was brilliant. So I'll probably clean that up. I think I did that one live on the air, that analogy. So I might clean that up, polish it a little bit, release a video talking about it, and I'll make sure to include the difficulty adjustment on that because I thought that was pretty cool. So James Bond says he is not promoting anything else than Bitcoin now. Okay. I don't know the whole story here. I'm just going with what I saw. Costello says delete your old text. Yeah, I know. I'm not going to get into it. It's just not something I prioritize, is spending hours and hours deleting texts and pictures and stuff. I got better shit to do. So it's annoying, but Daniel says, listen to Jack Mahler's mailbag this week about Bitcoin devs. We need them. Yeah, I agree. Lucas says, as the current system melts away, fiat stocks and equities will go through the roof in dollars and zero in Bitcoin. People are going to be tricked all the way to the end. That's what yesterday's show was about. The Bitcoin price isn't going up. That's just a complete illusion that we live in. Bitcoin price is not going up. Everything is falling in comparison to Bitcoin. Everything. If you can name one asset, one thing in life that is going to continue to outperform, not even outperform, that won't fall in comparison to Bitcoin. And even there, I always have to catch myself thinking in performing and increasing in price. It's not. Everything else in the world, stocks, bonds, real estate, this laptop, this phone, this microphone, everything is going to continue to fall in comparison to Bitcoin. And so maybe let's go with that today. I'm going to come back to this comment because this ties into what we're talking about today. So let's talk about a few things. We already touched on David Crater news there and David Bailey beef. But let's get to a few pieces of news here, and then we'll get into what I want to talk about for the. I don't want to watch that. Changed my mind. Then we'll get into the Q&A. So this is interesting. This one's from Bitcoin News. Bitcoin News is a sponsor of the show. They sponsor the Bitcoin News segment every morning we do here. Makes sense. Bitcoin News, sponsored by Bitcoin News. So yesterday, I think it was, they had on the show here, I talk a lot about earning Bitcoin, not just buying Bitcoin and holding on to it forever, but earning Bitcoin. So what I want you to do today, if you have some time or tomorrow, whenever, check out Bitcoin News Twitter feed. They did a live stream the other day. It was called How to Get a Job in Bitcoin. And it was by the Bitcoin Talent Co. Very interesting stuff. They brought up a lot of good points, not just about getting hired as a Bitcoiner, but also what you can do to better prepare for that, who gets hired, the process. If you're interested in earning sats, I highly recommend checking that out from Bitcoin News. So that was on their Twitter feed yesterday, I believe. So here is a tweet from them this morning. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's still Uncle Crater. That's not what I want. What did I do here? Is this my first show ever? Okay, window. Where are we here? Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is from Bitcoin News, and this tweet is from Bitwise, which says having historically benefits Bitcoin price long term, with 8,000% in 2012, 300% in 2016, and 550% in 2020. Looking ahead, the short-term impact is less significant, with 9% in 2012, minus 10% in 2016, and 6% in 2020. So the moral of the story, you can see there at the bottom, there's a 1 month before halving, 1 month after halving. So kind of the reason I wanted to bring this up here is because the halving is tomorrow. And people within Bitcoin, if you're holding Bitcoin, everybody loves to get excited about ETFs, halvings, and they are big deals. Don't get me wrong. It's just people shouldn't be expecting that they're going to buy Bitcoin 1 week and the next week, just because this big event happens, that they're going to triple or double their Bitcoin holdings. It's just not reality. It's not the case in anything, and it's definitely not the case in Bitcoin. So change your expectations here as we go to the halving tomorrow. It's not like the 840,000 block is going to hit and all of a sudden the price of Bitcoin is going to go to 200,000 bucks. It's just not going to happen. Long term, yes, as more and more people get into Bitcoin, as the supply continues to go down, and I mean that's the main driver here, is that there's going to be more and more people who are getting into Bitcoin. The supply is good, a good metric to use there and a good part of this equation. And if it goes down, which it does, economics suggests supply, demand, price goes up. But just don't get your hopes up. That's what I'm saying. Don't buy Bitcoin today expecting that it's going to be $100,000 after the halving next week. It takes time for these things to play out. What else do we have here? Oh, this doesn't really relate to anything at all. But okay, where are we here? I'll see when I want to show this. So I'm going to show two clips here. Both of them are kind of funny / interesting. So let's start with Jack first. This is an older clip of Jack Mallers, but it still makes me laugh every time. So I want to watch it just for shits and gigs. Okay, let's take this off here. Let's present you. This is good information, or not good information, but a good laugh. So it's a minute long. And the reason I want to show this is because this stuff is important. There's so much bullshit in the world every single day. There's so much that people get away with, the worst people in the world that they get away with. And we just kind of go on not idolizing these people, but just pretending that they're untouchable. And so when we're having these conversations about politicians, about people that aren't doing good for the world, the vampires of the system, we have to stop sugarcoating things. We have to start calling things out as they are, online, in real life, because as more and more of that happens, that's how things actually change. And so big props to Jack here for calling things as they are. I think that's important, and it's a very lost art nowadays. So let's listen to what Jack has to say on JP Morgan and the CEO of JP Morgan.
And Bitcoin specifically, you had the JP Morgan CEO and chairman Jamie Dimon calling it essentially pet rock, and once again calling into question its worth and its value here. I would love to get your reaction, especially as some of the financial industry elites and figureheads are continuing to cast some doubt here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brad. What do I think about Jeffrey Epstein's banker being concerned that a distributed, decentralized, open public money could potentially be used for bad things, sitting on a ski resort in Davos? I don't really care. I don't know why anyone cares, right? I mean, that guy knows when money's used for bad things. So it's a weird opinion of his. And my pet rock was up, as you said, 160% last year. It performed well against the dollar. So I don't know. I don't really care what that guy has to say about Bitcoin. I don't know why anybody does.
I love that guy. Big fan of Jack. And I mean, we go through these news things all the time. And yesterday we talked about one guy from Bloomberg saying that the Hong Kong ETFs will struggle to hit 500 million in new money flowing in. It's like, why are we listening to these people? Why would you ever listen to what Jamie Dimon has to say about anything? Why would you listen to what the head of senior analysis at Bloomberg has to say about things? These people are paid. And I think it was on Tuesday, we watched a video on how Bitcoiners need to communicate with people. And they talked about the no-coiners and the pre-coiners. And no-coiners are the people who go out of their way, who hate Bitcoin. They go out of their way to try to badmouth Bitcoin without having any sort of knowledge or understanding of it, because they benefit so much from the old system. So they're no-coiners. Pre-coiners are the people like our family members, our friends, the people who aren't tied to the success of the dollar, the people who are interested in learning more. So it's important to not call everybody, what do people call them? Normies, or I think normies is the big one. But I mean, you have to differentiate these people, the people, no coiners, who are deliberately going out of their way to try to sabotage Bitcoin, versus people who don't really know any better. They're our friends. We want to help those people, the pre-coiners, people who don't have Bitcoin yet. So important differentiation there. And big shout out to Jack for calling out Jamie Dimon as Jeffrey Epstein's banker. Instead of the CEO of JP Morgan, it'd be a lot better if we knew him as Jeffrey Epstein's banker. So my job on the show is to push that forward, push stuff like that forward. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so this one's awesome. And this one's going to lead into our segment today. Let me bring this up here. Take it off for a sec. But this is going to tie perfectly into what we're talking about today. So this is the Telegram CEO, Pavel Durov. Admits to owning over 100 million in Bitcoin, but he says this one thing is more important. So let's listen to this. This is the first time I've seen this interview. It looks like he was on Tucker. This may be a new interview, but I haven't seen this before. So let's watch this. This is 43 seconds long, and it's going to tie in perfectly to kind of what we're going to talk about today.
So for me, it was never about money, right? So I have a few $100 million in my bank account or in Bitcoin since 10 years ago, and I don't do anything with it. I don't own any real estate, jets, or yachts. I don't think this lifestyle is for me. I like to focus on what we're doing with Telegram.
You don't own anything? Like big assets? You don't own
no big assets.
Exactly. An island in Hawaii or no
land, no real estate, nothing.
Why?
Well, because for me, my number one priority in life is my freedom. So for me, it was never about money, right? So I have a few $100 million in my bank account or in Bitcoin since.
Damn. So my first question there is, like, this is the CEO of Telegram. Guy has $100 million worth of Bitcoin in his bank account. He called it bank account. Why is he not implementing Lightning into Telegram? That's my question. And I'm not trying to lead down any paths there. That's a valid question, I think. If he has that much Bitcoin, if he has that much invested in Bitcoin, I mean, there could be some legal issues there, maybe with the app and the Apple Store. But I just feel like if you're somebody who's advocating for Bitcoin on Tucker Carlson and talking about freedom, and if you believe that Bitcoin brings freedom, why wouldn't you push a little bit harder to implement that into your application? Like Telegram, Signal, we have our Signal chat, which we use for our Living in the Future group. And I say all the time, I wish Signal had zaps in it. Like, doesn't that make sense? I'm sure we're not too far off there. Because if you think about that, what that would look like is if you had a Signal app, which was integrated into Lightning, and I would just connect my Lightning address to Signal app. Very easy to do. I think that most applications in the future will actually have a Lightning wallet built into them, regardless of what it is. It could be McDonald's app, right? So you have McDonald's, you can pre-order there. It's connected to your Lightning wallet, and you can order a Big Mac, you pay with Lightning. Like, that's all going to happen over time. But think about it like a Signal chat or a Telegram, where if you see a comment or a post or whatever it is, and you just want to send some value for that, hook that up to Lightning. So very interesting. But what was that guy's name? What was his name? Pavel Durov. I love that interview. And that's the real estate stuff that we're going to talk about today. 50 minutes into it. What? Word? How does this happen? It's just like time disappears on this fucking show. Okay. Crypto Ethan says, oh, it's coming. Elon was just talking on X about implementing microtransactions for new accounts to help combat spam and bots. Slowly, then suddenly. Yeah, that's a great point, actually. And I think that what's going to happen with that, we talked about Vita, where if somebody wants to text you, if somebody wants to call you, they actually have to send you sats first, which is a way to prevent spam. They can send you 10 sats, 20 sats, doesn't matter. But you can also set up your contacts. So your mom, your dad, brother, they don't have to pay that if they call you. But anybody outside of your contact list, if they want to get a hold of you, text you, call you, email you, they have to send you sats for that. So that's coming in the communication world. But I also think that that's going to happen on Twitter to prevent bots, spam. And if you want to make a post, let's say you have to pay 2 sats. The reason why spam is possible, the reason why spam has increased so much in the last little while is because it's free to do. You can send out 1 million emails to 1 million different accounts without paying anything more for that. But all of a sudden, if you introduce not only just some money, but the hardest money on earth into that equation, that's going to stop all of the spam in the future. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Noah says Opti from Simply Bitcoin channel said that Telegram had a shitcoin for a bit, so he's suspect. Interesting. I also think that a lot of people initially had shitcoins. That was a big thing for a while, or altcoins. It was a big thing. It seemed like, this guy was probably on the cutting edge of technology as Telegram. He's in the loop with these people who know what's going on. So he probably just bought Bitcoin, kept it, didn't sell it, and probably thought that it was a good idea for Telegram to have an altcoin because it just made sense. Everybody else was doing it. And I think over time, people learn when they go through that altcoin crypto phase that there is nothing like Bitcoin. And so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Just that discussion alone in terms of not owning any real estate, owning any land, any property, because he wants freedom. And I don't know. I respect that. I respect that. So I forgot about this other part. Okay, so this is all the secondary. Sorry, the show is kind of all over the place this morning, but that's okay. That's what these Q&As are. I also forgot to give a shout out to a YouTuber, Terry, his name is, and he left a comment on yesterday's show, or a short maybe that I clipped out. But he said, I love your videos, man. They give me so much hope for the future. So I wanted to share that one because that is kind of my main message on this show, is that I went through a very dark period in life. Nothing crazy, but just very demotivated, very low energy, I guess you'd say, and had zero hope for the future. Zero. And the reason why I was at that stage is because I learned what was going on in the world and who controls it all and how everything happens behind the curtain, essentially. And then I discovered Bitcoin, and I really want to share that message with everybody else. Not that you're going to buy some Bitcoin today and have double that amount in a month from now. That's not the point of Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is going to create an entirely different world that we live in. When you have when you have a currency that's backed by something real, which Bitcoin is, it changes the whole dynamic of the world. When you take away the ability for people, certain people in life, to print money, think about that. I know we hear it a lot. I know we talk about it a lot, but honestly, take a second and think about that there are other human beings out there, just like you and me, who are solely responsible for deciding how much money is printed, where the money goes to, and we have no say in that. So with Bitcoin, it changed that. Nobody can print Bitcoin. Nobody gets the ability to issue Bitcoin to their buddies. Nobody can, you know, nobody's going to start a war if Bitcoin is the standard, because why would you? They start wars because they can just tax citizens, print more, and fund these wars, endless wars. Everything changes in Bitcoin. So I appreciate that commentary. I'm sure that you probably didn't stick around for the whole video today to watch or to hear that, but maybe you did. Who knows? So let's talk about this. This is where we're just going to go through one thing today, unless there's any more comments on zap.stream or YouTube. This is going to be kind of the main piece of the show today. So there was 3 questions here. And this was from my video, which was titled, Why I Sold My Rental House for Bitcoin. So these were a few comments under there, and I think that they're actually very valid comments, questions. So we're going to talk about them. The first comment here was from Kosher Tourist. And his question was, can you rent out your Bitcoin? That's number 1. Can you rent out your Bitcoin? Second question here was comparing land to the most vital piece of the world. Comparing land in the most vital piece of the world to a currency? Question mark. From Sal. And that was in reference to Manhattan. I said that we watched that KSI, I think he's a rapper or an influencer or something. He was talking about owning land in Manhattan. And I said, he gets it, but he doesn't understand the fact that you don't sell that piece of land in Manhattan in 10 years. You hold on to that forever, for your life, for your kids' life, for their kids' life, generations. But Sal said, comparing land in the most vital piece of the world to a currency. And then the next one here is from Daniel Acosta. Great name. The question is, I love Bitcoin, but what about the cash flow? If you never sell, you'll always have to work. Fair questions, all 3 of those. Can you rent out your Bitcoin? Why are you comparing it to the most vital? Why are you comparing a currency to the most vital piece of land in the world? And what about the cash flow? So let's talk about this. I did a little spreadsheet for everybody. And we got a new face in the Zap.stream, Win V. Good morning. Hello out there. So let's talk about this. This is the answer I have applies to all 3 of these. And this is a very valid question. And a lot of people, I think, are having a hard time understanding this concept because Bitcoin doesn't have cash flow. You can't rent out your Bitcoin. But here's what happens with it. So over time, this is what I want you to think about. Because this is going to be very applicable to you one day. If you hold Bitcoin right now, this is going to be very applicable to you. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your Bitcoin stack. You're going to look at your 100% of your Bitcoin. Let's say that you have 1 Bitcoin. You take 90% of that stack. That's the stack that you never, ever sell. That's your land in Manhattan. You keep that. You protect that with everything that you have. You pass that on to your kids. You pass that on. They pass that on to their kids. And you have that Bitcoin, the 90% of your Bitcoin stack, in your family forever. With that, you also have another 10%. And I want you to think of that 5 or 10% as essentially your retirement fund. You're going to be spending that Bitcoin over time. So what's the point of rent? What's the point of cash flow? You want more purchasing power, right? That's the whole point of collecting rent, so you can have more money to spend, and cash flow, so you can have more money to spend. So with Bitcoin, and what I'm going to show you here on this spreadsheet is I want you to think about that 5% that you're going to spend, even though the Bitcoin balance will go down as you spend it, because it's a scarce asset with a fixed supply. As time goes on, even though your balance is going down, your Bitcoin balance is going down, your purchasing power is going up. Because it's a scarce asset with a fixed supply, even though your Bitcoin balance will go down, your purchasing power will go up over time. So it's easy to say that, it's easy to hear it, but let's actually look at this in practice and what this looks like. So everybody loves the spreadsheets. I know there's some spreadsheet fans in the house in this chat. Let's look at this. Very simple. I wanted to keep things as simple as possible for people to really understand what the hell I'm talking about here. So this is what I got. And I was going to do this into the future, but I thought it made a lot more sense to actually look at what has happened historically. So let's take a look at this. And I used 100 Bitcoin there because I think that in 10 years from now, owning one Bitcoin will be essentially the equivalent to that. That's how Bitcoin works, right? 10 years ago, you could have went onto a website, you could have went onto Bitcoin Faucet, and just for entering in your Bitcoin address, they would have sent you 5 Bitcoin. Today, if you turn on a podcast, you can listen to the podcast, they'll pay you sats for that. So we went from Bitcoin to sats in about 10 years there. And in 10 years from now, we're just going to continue on that trend. As more and more people adopt Bitcoin, that's what will happen with it. So this is from 2020. Let's say that you had 100 Bitcoin in your wallet. The value of that in dollar terms would have been $726,000 in 2020, based on a price of $7,267 per Bitcoin, which is what we talked about at the start of the show right here. So you had 100 Bitcoin that was worth $726,000. So you decide that you want to spend some. You're actually going to use that as your cash flow, your sats flow. So you decide in 2021 that you're going to spend 5 Bitcoin. So the price at that time increased from 7,200 to 60,000, but I use 50,000 here just to be a little bit more conservative. So those 5 Bitcoin would have purchased you $250,000 worth of stuff, whatever it is. So you sold 5 Bitcoin, 2021. 2022 rolls around, you sell another 5 Bitcoin. The price went down a little in 2022. I used 25,000 as my average there. So you got $125,000 worth of purchasing power from that. 2023 rolls around. You want to spend a little bit more Bitcoin. Now the price it went up slightly. I used 30,000 bucks as an average here for 2023. It was a little bit higher than that, but I used 30,000. So you spent 5 Bitcoin, you got 150,000 worth of purchasing power in 2023. So at the end of that, 2024, you have 85 Bitcoin now, but you have $5.1 million now worth of purchasing power. So even though your Bitcoin balance went down to 85 Bitcoin because you spent some of it, your purchasing power actually went up from 720,000 to $5.1 million in 4 years. So that's the difference here between an asset like real estate, which is totally inflated, all debt-based, based on the fiat money. Everything goes up over time, but you lose your purchasing power with that. So even though you're bringing in money every month, you got cash flows coming in, you're charging rent, your fiat dollar is losing power instead of gaining power like Bitcoin. So that was a real eye-opener for me because I had this thought in my head for a long time of that made sense to me. You have this Bitcoin, you take a part of it, you keep that as your long-term Manhattan fund. Pretty much you never sell that, but then you also plan on spending some Bitcoin over time. And it kind of made sense in my head, but until I actually put it on a spreadsheet based on actual historical data that has happened, I didn't understand how powerful that was. So that was pretty cool. I hope that people can understand that now after actually seeing it based on what has happened, not versus just some hypothetical. Pretty interesting. So I'll probably clip this because I think that, the housing prices going up in fiat, but down in Bitcoin, that graphic and video really resonated with a lot of people. And I think that after seeing this in Bitcoin, and how you can actually use Bitcoin, not to get cash flow, but to actually retain and increase your purchasing power over time. It's a totally different dynamic and mindset shift that nobody is ready for yet. I shouldn't say nobody. There's probably some people in this chat who really understand that, but I feel like that Even the people who own Bitcoin is about 1%, and the people who really understand what's happening here is about 0.001% of the world, if that. So with that, be glad that you're here. I got one more thing here that I want to talk about, and then we'll close out for the day. But let's check over on zap.stream. We got another new face there. I can't see the name though. Said good morning. NPub 1R4. Looks like you need to set up your Lightning address there. Connect it. But good morning over on zap.stream. Good to have you. David says, Matthew Cratter on one of his videos said not to do any of his trading courses. He said just buy Bitcoin instead. Okay, so that's a valid point. So I wonder if those videos are still on his website then. Because I feel like that'd be kind of a weird play if you're promoting your videos or you're saying don't buy these courses, buy Bitcoin instead, but you're still having them for people to buy. I don't know. Maybe that was an old screenshot from his website. I'm not sure. Daniel says, Jeff Booth is super smart, much smarter than me, and I haven't heard his position, just your comment. But Bitcoin needs development, period. I will absolutely break otherwise, literally. Yeah, I'm with you, Daniel. And I'm not sure about Jeff Booth's comment there either. Kind of the Saylor logic there and the Jeff Booth logic there is that they don't want Bitcoin to change. So the reason why you'd fund development is to make sure that we're developing things. Things are moving along. But so Jeff Booth, Saylor, they don't want the code, anything with Bitcoin to ever change. They think it's perfect how it is today. But I'm probably honestly more on the side of we should be developing it. Bitcoin is way too I don't know. We're not there yet in terms of being ready for mainstream adoption. For some reason, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, but it just seems like people have such a complex thought about Bitcoin that they're just terrified of it. And so these development things make things a little bit easier for people, make it easier to transact layer 1 to layer 2, save fees, because the people who are coming into Bitcoin, they're not going to have a clue about UTXO management and how to do that. So this development stuff makes a lot of sense in ways without actually doing a hard fork on Bitcoin. So I don't know. I can see both sides of it, but I think in order to evolve, you always have to be evolving whatever it is that you're using. I don't know. Folsom Hoddle. Haven't seen that face for a while in the chat. Good morning. We need to protect us from AI and quantum computers in the future. I think this is a subject for another show. Maybe I'll save this for next week because there also was a comment on Twitter or on YouTube about that I did want to talk about, but I never got to it today because that's a whole nother story too. So the last thing I want to mention here, because this ties into the real estate stuff. So I posted a video talking about how you never sell your Bitcoin, ever. Just like farmers don't sell their land. If they want to go buy a new truck or take a vacation with their family, they don't sell a chunk of their land to pay for that. They just go to the bank, they get a line of credit or a long-term loan, and they take out fiat against it. So I said, with Bitcoin, it's the exact same thing. You're never going to sell your Bitcoin. You're just going to go to the bank. You're going to say, I have this amount of Bitcoin. I want this amount of money, and I'm going to use Bitcoin as collateral. And the question was, or not really a question, it was pretty rude actually. But the comment says, that's kind of dumb. What recourse do you have against undue confiscation when you use Bitcoin as collateral? So he called me dumb for one, but he said, what recourse do you have against undue confiscation when you use Bitcoin as collateral? It's a fair point, because in order for banks to lend against Bitcoin, they're probably going to want to hold that Bitcoin for you. And when they hold that Bitcoin for you, they could confiscate it without you even knowing about it. So that's not what you would do though. If you know what you're doing, you're never just going to go to the bank and say, here, keep my Bitcoin for a while. I'll pay it back eventually and I'll get my Bitcoin back. No, you're going to go into this with a different perspective and different logic there. And banks will offer this in the future. they'll have a multi-sig set up. So what that's going to look like is it'll be probably a 2 of 3 multi-signature. And so you'll have one of the keys to the Bitcoin. The bank will have one of the keys to the Bitcoin, and your lawyer will keep one of the keys to the Bitcoin. It's the exact same thing as like a land title. You have a land title, the bank has a land title, the lawyer keeps a land title. If you stop making your payments on your loan, they take your land. They have the ability to do that. If you don't meet your requirements in your loan agreement, they take your land. And it'll be the exact same thing with Bitcoin. Your lawyer will hold one key, you will hold one key, your bank will hold one key, and you need 2 out of 3 people there to move any Bitcoin out of there. So your lawyer is obviously not going to go side with your bank if you're making your loan payments, unless there's some sort of like collusion there, backdoor that you can't really foresee. But that's what it would look like. You wouldn't just go to the bank and say, here's my Bitcoin, here's the keys to it, I want some money. No, you'd go and say, or the banks will probably be set up for this in the future, and it'll be a 2 of 3 multi-signature setup. So the bank won't have any way to undo confiscate your Bitcoin. So there you go. Lots of comments here to keep up with. King says AI can hurt us and help us. I agree with that. I think it'll do a lot more help than hurting us, because most people are good and we have to train the AI. And if we want to unplug the AI, we can. So there's more good people than bad, and AI is going to be a very powerful tool for us in the future. Summer Breeze says, are Bitcoin ETF scams? Will the ETF survive for 20 years? I don't think they're scams. I think that they're actually a good transition for people into Bitcoin. A lot of people, they live there every day. They go to work, they spend time with their family. They don't have time to learn about Bitcoin. They don't have time to learn how to store their Bitcoin. That's not an excuse. They should be making time for it, but that's just the reality of things. So with the ETFs and even bigger companies, let's say that Apple wanted to hold Bitcoin. Think about the logistical nightmare of Apple holding Bitcoin, because you have to have somebody to hold the keys to that. You're pretty much going to have to spend a couple years figuring out how to best protect Apple's Bitcoin, and then tell your board about it, tell your shareholders, people will have to vote on it. It's a whole process. With the Bitcoin ETF, you don't have to do any of that. It's just very quick, very easy for these people. And that's why they're going crazy over it right now. I do think that the ETFs have some very negative future implications in terms of how much BlackRock has and what they're going to use it for, potentially. So if you are somebody who's in the old system, if you go to 9 to 5 job every day, you got your pension, you pay into an RRSP, and you have a whole bunch of money stuck in that old system, I do think for tax purposes, the ETFs are a good move. And there's actually been quite a few people from this community here who have reached out to the guy that I work with, financial advisor. His name's Crysler. Great guy. And so what you do there is you just move your old assets. Instead of cashing them out and buying Bitcoin, you just simply move those assets from, let's say, Microsoft, Tesla, index funds. You just move those over the ETFs. Very easy to do. But then after that, once you kind of have so that's as a Bitcoiner, but people who don't know anything about Bitcoin, I think that makes a lot of sense for them if they don't know how to store their Bitcoin, if they don't have time to learn how to store their Bitcoin. They buy the ETF over time, they learn how to do that, and they start selling some of their ETF and buying Bitcoin with it. So I think that it is a good way to transition into Bitcoin using the ETFs, but I think long-term, and if you are somebody who knows what you're doing, Bitcoin's definitely the best. Bitcoin and self-custody. And I don't think the ETFs I think there'll be a lot of rocky roads in the ETF. If one of them gets hacked, or if the government subpoenas Coinbase, there's going to be a lot of trouble in the ETF world. You don't have to worry about that if you self-custody your own Bitcoin. But at the same time, it is a nightmare for a lot of people to cash out their pensions, to cash out their RSPs. So in the meantime, I do think that, this is what I would say. For the next 12 months, instead of going through the whole process of cashing out your pension, cashing out your RSPs, having to pay tax on all that. What I would say is I would just this week or next week, sometime in the next month or two, move that money from the index funds, the bonds, the Apple, move that over to Bitcoin for 1 year. You get the price appreciation. You can take it out tax-free if you do it through a TFSA or something. And then after a year, cash that out tax-free, take the money out, buy Bitcoin with it, self-custody it. That's what I would say. Then you'll have a whole year to kind of prepare for that, to look at the logistics, to talk to people about it. But sometime in this next month or two, get in touch with me. If you have money in index funds, in your pension, move that over for 1 year and then decide what you want to do. That's what I would suggest. So if that makes sense to you, if you're somebody with a bunch of capital in the old system and want to get some Bitcoin ETFs, get a hold of me and just do it for a year. Then cash out. You got a whole year to prepare for it, figure out what you're going to do with it, figure out how to protect that Bitcoin, but don't wait to figure it out. Move it over to an ETF, get the price appreciation for this year. If this was last year, I wouldn't have said it at this time. But for the next 12 months, I do think that that is your best bet for sure. Just based on where we are with the halving and what's going to come probably this fall and winter with the price of Bitcoin. Okay, I think that's it for today. King has a couple comments on here about BlackRock. Yeah, BlackRock is too big for the U.S. government to make life harder for. I don't think that it's going to be the U.S. government who does anything with BlackRock. I think BlackRock's going to try to become the new U.S. government with Bitcoin. And that's what we talked about on a show this week, and how BlackRock's going to potentially create a stable coin based off their ETF and basically take over the government, BlackRock. And I don't know, it seems crazy when you say it out loud, but I don't know. They own a lot of stuff. They got a lot of power, a lot of influence, and the government is going in the opposite direction of that. So King says, I'm honestly contemplating withdrawing from my RSP, taking the 10% hit, and just buying Bitcoin. Probably not a bad idea. Never a bad idea to just buy Bitcoin. But what I would say to that is you always have to keep in mind, and this is my tax brain coming in here, but you always want to keep in mind that, you know, what I would do with that, if it was me, because your taxes are based on your income for the year, right? So if you had $100,000 in taxable income, that's what you're paying tax on. If you sold your RSP, that adds to your taxable income. So instead of taking it all in 1 year and taking the 10% hit plus the taxes, what I would probably do with that, if it was me, is I would probably cash out half of that, take a smaller hit tax-wise this year, spread it out a little bit. That's what you want to do with taxes. You don't want to pay it all in 1 year, all at once. You want to spread it out over a couple of years. So take the 5% hit today, or half of that hit today, buy some Bitcoin, put the other half of that into the ETF, get the price appreciation for it, cash it out next year at this time, pay tax on that. You disperse your tax hit there, and then you have a bit of both. You're not all in one or one in all. That's what I would say on that. Summer Breeze says you follow Tesla as an AI play. I don't know. I don't pay attention to any of the stocks. I think the whole stock market is just it's a complete illusion. Not an illusion, but if you understand that everything's going to fall in comparison to Bitcoin, it doesn't make sense to hold anything else. It just doesn't. Could be Tesla, could be Apple, could be the next NVIDIA, whatever the hell that company's called. If you understand Bitcoin, everything is going to fall in comparison to Bitcoin over time. So it's insane to own anything else right now, in my opinion, especially where we are in the halving cycle. Nothing's going to happen today or tomorrow or the next day, but over this next year, we're going to see some serious movement in Bitcoin. So it's just Tesla, whatever it is, the biggest AI thing, doesn't matter. Every AI is going to be paying in Bitcoin. And instead of owning the companies that make those things, just own the Bitcoin. That's it. My back's getting sore. I hope you all had an enjoyable Q&A today. I love these Q&As. Look at so many comments. I love these Q&As. We're going to keep doing them. This was the 16th edition. It seems like people are enjoying them. It's just fun to talk things through and have some live interaction on the chat. So I hope you have the best day of your life today. It is snowing here right now. I don't know what I'm going to do. It rained for 2 days. Now it's snowing. Arnie hasn't been out too much, which isn't good. But he's been a pretty good boy this morning. So enjoy your day. Like I said, check out the Living in the Future. If you are somebody, the 3 things there, becoming better Bitcoiners. We talk about some advanced topics, privacy, cold cards, passwords, becoming better Bitcoiners, UTXOs, and building in business, building a business in Bitcoin, earning sats. We talk about that. We got a couple of businesses in the works right now in that group. And of course, the network aspect of it. So just a great place if you're a Bitcoiner to hang out. Oh, look at that. That's the newest. There it looks like he got his or her Zap set up on zap.stream and just zapped 4.2 thousand sats to the stream towards the heated driveway. Thank you. I very, very, very much appreciate that. Thank you. So check out Living in the Future. We got 44 spots and then we're going to close it off. And if you're just a Bitcoiner who wants to learn more, interact with other Bitcoiners, it's a beautiful place from people all around the world in different industries, different walks of life, but have one thing in common, which is Bitcoin. So like I said, we have about 7 or 8 spots left in there. We had 4 new signups yesterday. If you've been sitting on the fence waiting to get in, do it today. And watch yesterday's video too. You'll get some good info from it. I promise. So have a great day. Big shout out to zap.stream. Thank you for that big zap. I don't wish I could know who you were, but it just shows me an MPub. So I very much appreciate that. Thanks everybody. Have the best day of your life today. And we'll see you right back here, hopefully tomorrow morning, but for sure tomorrow night. So go to the liquor store today, grab a couple beers, some whiskey, whatever you drink. And we're going to be doing, Zombie says that's Fiat Jeff who zapped. What? The Fiat Jeff? The creator of Nostr just zapped? That's a big deal if true. That's big if true. I kind of want to wait around for confirmation for that. But tomorrow night, we're going to be doing a halving show. I think I'll probably start it around, let's see where we are here. Let's see where we are here on the time chain. It's scheduled so far to be, it's getting closer and closer here. 8:43 p.m., which I'm guessing would be Eastern time, which would be 7:30 p.m. here. So that's probably when we'll do the show tomorrow night, right after supper. I was hoping it'd be a little bit later so we could have some beers and get a little bit crazy on there, but we'll have to do 7 p.m. So if I'm not here tomorrow morning, keep an eye out for the show tomorrow night. We're going to do a little halving celebration live on the air. And Zombie says I'm going to buy some weed from Jack Mahler's mom to celebrate the halving. Okay. Okay. Well, there's lots going on Zap.stream. That's what you want. That's where you want to be. A couple things today that you can do. Check out that video from Bitcoin News or that show. Get onto Zap.stream. Even if you want to just get on there after the show, set up a profile, connect your Lightning account, check out some other streams that are happening on there, and just become a part of the Zap.stream community. That's where the Bitcoiners hang out. And apparently Fiat Jeff zapped over there. So that's a pretty big deal. The creator of Nostr. What a day. I shouldn't be too excited about it because I don't know if that's true or not, but we're going to go with this true. So anyways, we'll see you right back here first thing tomorrow morning or later in the day tomorrow night. Bye-bye.